What is going on, guys? Noah Brewer here, back again with another video. I'm at the new apartment, but I don't have my desk yet, so I thought I'd make a few videos. I'm doing this little For Dummies series. I thought it would be funny to do a Facebook Ads for Dummies and then a Facebook Pixel for Dummies. I might even do like custom audiences for dummies, stuff like that. I think it's a fun little way to teach the basics, and I know that there's a lot of new people in this industry on my channel, so I really want to make sure that everybody has a clear understanding of, the foundations, the really basic stuff that's really simple to learn. So yeah, let's just dive right back into this. Why running ads on Facebook is so simple and effective. For one, Facebook has a pixel for in-depth tracking. Most advertising platforms has a pixel or an analytics code or some sort of code that allows the advertising platform to track actions from your users, and Facebook has this as well, which we'll talk more about this later on. But basically, Facebook's is a lot more in depth than Google's is or than Snapchat's is. It goes a lot more deep into the actions that your users take on your website. Number two, the ad platform is easy to use. It's simple, but it's not too confusing. It's not like a pain in the butt. I know like some advertising platforms, I'm not going to name which ones, but they're a big pain to use, and even after using them for a while, they're still really difficult. And they glitch out a lot, and Facebook definitely glitches out, but it's not as bad. Number three is CPMs can be lower than any other advertising platform out there, and I believe that this is mainly because there's so many users on Facebook. They have over 2.3 billion monthly active users. The CPM is basically how much it costs to reach 1,000 people on average, and if you compare Facebook to other things like Google, the other platforms, Facebook is definitely a lot cheaper than them. And then number four, which I just mentioned, is Facebook has 2 billion monthly active users, which basically means that 2 billion people, over 2 billion people, are checking Facebook at least once a month. That's what that number means. And number five, and this is very important, and we'll talk a little bit more about this later on, is they hold over 10,000 data points on each user just for the benefit of advertisers. Facebook is an advertising platform. It can be looked at as social media. As a consumer, it's a very good social media platform, but as a business owner, it should only be looked at as a advertising platform, because they built out the consumer side and the business owner side so perfectly to where it's good as a user and it's good as an advertiser. And we're going to get more into this later on. But let's understand the basics. So there's three parts to running a Facebook ad. When you go into your ads manager, there's going to be three different tabs. A campaign. Basically, a campaign holds the ad sets. So you can have a campaign with a bunch of ad sets below it. And then this is also where you choose what you want to optimize for. And we'll talk about this later on as well. Basically, like, you can tell Facebook, I want a bunch of link clicks, or I want a bunch of engagements on my post. You can kind of tell Facebook what you want. And this is the level at which you do that at. And then the ad sets, these are under the campaign, so you can have a bunch of ad sets under one campaign. And this is where you choose your demographics and your targeting. This is good for split testing different ad sets. And last but not least is the ad, which is essentially just the post that you're running ads to. So the ads are under the ad sets. You can have numerous ads under one ad set and then numerous ad sets under one campaign. So this can get a little bit confusing, which is why I wanted to talk about it and clear it up, because it's kind of like a lot to understand at first. But I remember when I first started out, there was a lot of confusion as to how to run this. Like, what level do I do this? Like, do I optimize on the ad set level? Do I do it on the ad level? I really had no clue. But this should clear that up. The next thing is the Facebook Pixel. This is we mentioned this earlier, but this is essentially what you want to use for tracking your customers' actions on your website. The customers that come from your ads, or maybe they come from another source. But this usually comes in the form of an ID or a code, and you could just easily put it on your website. And if you don't know how to put it on your website, I would recommend that you just go ahead and Google how, like, if you're using Shopify, go ahead and Google how to install a Facebook Pixel on Shopify. Go ahead and Google, if you're using WooCommerce or WordPress, just Google it. There's so many videos out there with tutorials. It's really a simple thing to do. So the Facebook Pixel is an essential tool to Facebook ads. You don't want to run Facebook ads without messing with the Facebook Pixel a little bit, or at least understanding how it works. So the next thing is, this builds off of what the Pixel does, but Basically, it's Facebook custom audiences. Now, with tracking your customers, or along with tracking your customers, your pixel will also hold the data for a maximum of 365 days and 180 days if it's on your website or a third-party source. So you can use this data to create an audience of people who took a specific action on your website. So let's say your ad tracks that 1,000 people clicked on your website. You can actually make an audience of those 1,000 people that clicked on your website. And then you can target this audience on Facebook, and this is what us Facebook ad guys like to call retargeting. Okay, so the basics on Facebook lookalike audiences. Using the custom audience, you can make a lookalike audience. So basically, I just want to explain how a lookalike works. So let's say you have an audience of the 1,000 people that we were talking about earlier. Facebook basically looks at the data points to match customers. So essentially, you have 1,000 people, and we talked earlier that Facebook has over 10,000 data points on each of its users. Now, obviously, that's on a seasoned user. If it's a new user, it's a little bit different. But Facebook can actually look at each of those little data points and then figure out common similarities. And then they take those similarities that they find, and then they go out and they find other people who haven't taken an action on your website yet, who have the same similarities, and put them in an audience so that you can target. And this is called the lookalikes. For example, if everyone in your customer audience is interested in cats, your lookalike will be a group of people interested in cats. And it's usually, how many people it is based on the percentage of the population that you're creating the lookalike in. Keep in mind that interested in cats is literally just one of the 10,000 data points Facebook uses to match the data. They also match things like gender, age, what pages they like, how long are they active on Facebook per day, things like that. And they can make really powerful lookalikes using all these data points. And I like to call this data matching because that's essentially what it is. So I know that lookalikes are pretty complex and it's kind of hard to explain them in a quick basic video, but just let me remind you that this is a Facebook Ads for Dummies. I am just trying to kind of go over the tip of the iceberg for each subject, and I have tons and tons of videos talking about each of these subjects individually. If you go to my channel and just scroll through, you'll find them. So the next one is optimization. So this is another thing that separates Facebook from other advertising platforms. So let's just hypothetically say that you have an audience of 10,000 people, or you're trying to advertise to an audience of 10,000 people. Most advertising platforms will show your ad to people either in order, which most don't do that. Most, I've seen some do that though, or completely randomly. So they'll show your ad to those people either completely randomly or in order. Let's say that 2,000 of these people are frogs, 2,000 of these people are rabbits, 2,000 are cats, 2,000 are dogs, and 2,000 are fish, okay? Most advertising platforms will either show your ad to all of the frogs first, and then the rabbits, and then the cats, and so on. So that's the one that's showing your ad to the people in order. Or they'll show it to a few fish, a few rabbits, some frogs, and then some fish again. Just basically just like a completely random order. But the question that comes up is, what if only cats buy from you? Then your income or how well your ad is performing is completely dependent on the randomness of your optimization or of your ad. So this is definitely a flawed system, because if only cats buy from you, it might show your ad to all cats one day, and then you'll have a really good day. And then the next day, it might show it to all frogs, and then you have a really horrible day, or a horrible week, or horrible month, whatever it is. And this is not like the kind of advertising platform that I personally like. You do not want your income depending on randomness. You want something that's smart enough to get you what you want. And this is exactly where Facebook differs itself from other advertising platforms. Facebook will start by showing your ad to random people. Okay, so they start off random, but that's not a bad thing, because Facebook needs to do that in order to optimize. So basically, the algorithm will analyze who is most engaging with the ad and show it to more of those people. So let's say that you're telling Facebook that you want purchases. It'll show Remember, cats are the only ones buying from you, so it'll show your ad to some frogs, some cats, some cows, some fish, whatever animals I chose. And then eventually Facebook will start showing your ad only to cats, because Facebook has realized that only cats are buying from you. That way it doesn't waste money on the fish. It doesn't waste money on the frogs. And this is just an example, again, like I'm not talking about animals here, but it's just an example to show you how optimization works and how smart the Facebook algorithm is. And this brings us into objectives. You can use Facebook for many different objectives. Purchases, if you want to get leads, if you want to get opt-ins, messenger replies, engagements, video views, the list goes on and on and on. There's a bunch of them. But one thing that I want to say is you should always optimize for what you truly want. If you're trying to get sales on your campaign, don't optimize for engagements, because you don't want engagements. Optimize for sales. And the reason is because while it's optimizing, you don't want it to analyze the wrong data and start showing your ad to the wrong people. For example, let's say you're trying to get purchases, and we already know that only cats are purchasing from us. But let's say the fish just click your link and they don't make any purchases. If your objective is traffic, Facebook is going to optimize for fish, and it's just going to start showing your ad to only fish, not the cats. And if you're trying to get purchases, obviously you don't want the fish clicking on your ad, and this is why you want to tell Facebook exactly what you want, because it ties into the algorithm and how it analyzes the data to optimize better. And if you're able to optimize for purchases, you can use this to your advantage heavily. So another thing that would be brought up is targeting. Understanding targeting. Like, I know a lot of people try to overcomplicate this. They want to target like the most narrow audience so it can be the lowest cost per purchase, but Facebook does not work like that. I've actually seen Facebook does better with pretty broad audiences, mainly because of that optimization. They like being able to go out there and show it to different demographics, show it to different interests, figure it out on its own rather than you telling it exactly what to do. And this is why I say don't try to guess what your target audience is before running ads. Leave it broad, because you can always break it down later and see what's performing best. And then once you see what's performing best, then you can start narrowing in on that one thing. But in the beginning, it's important just to let Facebook figure it out. So ad copy and creative. This is basically the posts that you will run ads to, the image, the video, the carousel, the text, whatever. And I just want to say that split testing different ads is great, because different angles, different images, different videos, they can all perform very differently. Even just one little tweak in an image can completely change the results. But creative posts are good, but don't worry about it too much. And this is why I want to say this. A good offer will sell itself. You can split test different ad copies when it gets the traction after you feel like it's a winning campaign. And this is kind of what I do. Like, I don't try to divide the optimization focus too early, because I want Facebook focusing on one thing and going out there and bringing sales whenever it can. So I just kind of make the best ad copy that I can create in the moment, launch it, and usually if it's a winning product, every time a difference in the ad copy isn't going to make that much of a difference. If your ad copy gets a sale or two, but it's not profitable, then you definitely want to test a different ad copy if you feel like the product could be a winner. But again, don't worry about it too much, because a good offer, a good product, a good, whatever, it'll sell itself. You don't need like some crazy in-depth ad copy, and you don't need to buy $1,000 courses on how to create ad copy. So the last thing is Facebook ads are simple. You don't need to overcomplicate it, but there are a few tips that I would say, like utilize your resources. Watch my YouTube videos. I take my time to put them up there, obviously to get my name out and break out of obscurity, but at the same time I'm giving away a ton of value for free that you can access just by going on my YouTube channel and clicking subscribe. Another one is consider getting a mentor. Somebody who can prove results, has previous successful students and a ton of experience. Don't just go hire the person who's just flexing Gucci on their Instagram, because what really matters is their results. My personal mentor that I hired a couple years ago was nowhere to be found online. He had videos and stuff, but I basically just found him through one of his ads, and he doesn't buy Gucci, he doesn't have a nice car, but the guy makes racks simply from, just running ads from his home, and he has a family, and it was just a good situation. Like, don't go and hire the first person that you see who goes and buys a Ferrari. Do your research. Make sure that they can prove results to you in that moment, and they have previous successful students and a ton of experience. Number 3, do not spend all of your money. Manage your budget and come up with a plan. I'll be making a video on this in the future, but yeah, just take that to heart, because I see a lot of people getting into Facebook ads and they just want to spend, they have $1,000 to their name or 2,000 in ad spend, and they'll spend that in their first week having no idea what they're doing and just waste all that money, and there's no way to get that money back. So don't spend all your money. Manage your budget. Make sure that you can keep up with it so that you can keep learning and you never have to stop. It's better to spend $1,000 over the span of a month and be able to keep doing that, rather than spending all your $1,000 in a week and then have to stop for 3 weeks while you recoup your budget. And the last but not least is, if you're following a strategy, if you're following my strategy, if you're following somebody else's strategy, stick to one. Don't start mixing strategies because you think it'll do better, because chances are, if you don't have experience doing this, you don't know better. The people who you are learning from know better, especially if it's somebody who can prove the results and has successful students and a ton of experience. Just listen to what they say. Don't try to question them or argue them or anything. I've seen a lot of people go down the wrong path because of this. That's it for this video. If you like this and you got good value out of it, make sure to leave a subscribe, leave a like, and drop a comment for me. I really appreciate all of you who do. But as for this video, this is Noah Burr, and I'm out. Peace.